All right, well, welcome everyone to our final Lunch and Learn series. Today we're going to be making the most of NBA math hoops. And Coach Lauren is joining us the whole way from Oklahoma. So go ahead and take it away, Coach Lauren.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Crystal, for having me and having Learn Fresh implement NBA Math Hoops to the Maryland residents. Okay, so I was in Maryland, I told Crystal, for a short 6 months. I enjoyed my time, but Oklahoma is home. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today to implement NBA Math Hoops into your learning environments. So we'll kind of run through the training today. Beginning part is just intro pieces. We'll spend a couple minutes on creating our LFCA accounts, which is your educator portal and also how you receive your board games. So that will be an important step in today's training. And then we will run through each lesson that implements gameplay and adds value to the program of NBA Math Hoops itself. So if you guys have any questions, I am not opposed to you hopping off a mute. That does not bother me. If you do not feel like turning on your camera and hopping off a mute to ask questions, put those in the chat box as well. I want to make sure you guys feel really confident after leaving today's session. So thank you guys for joining and giving me an hour out of your busy days. Just to introduce you to Learn Fresh itself. So Learn Fresh is a nonprofit organization that promotes STEM and SEL skills through sports and entertainment. We're just really focusing on achieving equitable representation across the STEM pipeline for girls, students of color, and those living in low income communities. Essentially, we just want every student in a really fun and highly engaging environment growing in their STEM and SEL skills, making learning fun. Okay, a couple numbers to give you. So we are partnered with 28 NBA and WNBA teams. I love sharing this number. For one, I'm a basketball junkie. I coach basketball. I own my own personal training business with my boyfriend, and I watch it every day. So I love sharing that number. But on the other side, these teams are buying back into our students' education and giving them experiences that they may not have had without being a part of NBA Math Hoops. For example, attending the arena and playing the NBA Math Hoops tournaments. The Wizards actually do host regional tournaments, and being in Maryland, you guys will be invited to those. So you will go. Last year, I actually got to attend the Wizards regional tournament, and the kids got to play the NBA Math Hoops game next to the court. They let them bring out some basketballs. They were shooting on the NBA court. It was really awesome. So giving students that experience to be on the court. Some may not even be able to make it into an NBA arena in their outside life. So giving them that experience, I think, is really important. 93% of educators have reported improved student teamwork. So, in my opinion, teamwork is important throughout our entire lives. You have to be able to work with someone at some point in time. So, learning that skill through our program is just an added bonus. And then this past summer, we officially reached 1 million students served all time. So, woohoo! That was a big accomplishment for Learn Fresh itself. And we are global with our program as well. So, actually, in a couple weeks, I trained some educators from Australia. So, super exciting that our program is touching a lot of countries. Our learning objectives is academic achievement, social and emotional growth, and increased engagement in STEM. Okay, so before we dive into the programs, I'm going to show the season overview video. I like showing this video simply because it gives you a good insight into what NBA Math Hoops looks like and what we offer. So we will go ahead and watch this video.
NBA Masters leverages the game of basketball and NBA and WNBA players and stats to engage elementary and middle school students in math and social emotional learning. LearnFresh is excited to offer a suite of NBA Math Hoops experiences for the upcoming season that allow students and educators to access the benefits of math hoops across a variety of learning spaces. The NBA Math Hoops physical board game is designed for classroom, out-of-school time programs, and at-home usage. Through the board game, students draft a team of NBA and WNBA players and complete math problems using real player statistics to shoot, foul, steal, and score points, all while building fluency with core math operations and key social emotional skills. The game is supplemented by a math and SEL curriculum that builds a basketball season for any classroom or out of school time space. The NBA Math Hoops digital game is designed for facilitated and independent usage by students in any learning environment with a device and internet access. The digital game replicates the mechanics of the physical board game experience in an engaging virtual environment featuring real-time NBA and WNBA player stats. The more students play the game, the more players they unlock, adding additional strategy to the team management concept. The digital game is available globally as a downloadable app for Android and iOS, and as a web-based experience for educators and students in the Math Hoops program. In addition to the core program, students can also access the NBA Math Hoops Skills and Drills mobile app for supplemental learning. The Skills and Drills app focuses on additional practice with core math skills and fun mini games like a 3-point contest and locker room challenge. The more students engage in the app, the more rewards they will unlock. NBA Math Hoops program sites and students are eligible to participate in community-based STEM activations, including regional tournaments and the NBA Math Hoops Global Championship, which takes place each year in New York City alongside the NBA Draft. The NBA Math Hoops Global Championship is the flagship event of the NBA Math Hoops program, bringing together select students from across the U.S. and beyond for 3 days of competition, learning, and fun. This year, educators can choose to implement NBA Math Hoops in facilitated or independent learning environments while catering to different learning styles. For more information about bringing the NBA Math Hoops experience to your community, please visit our website at www.nbamathhoops.com.
Perfect. Okay, and just to kind of touch on what Miss Crystal put into the chat box, we do have a couple other programs other than NBA Math Hoops that you may or may not be familiar with. One being MLB Player STEM League, so that focuses with baseball. We are in our first season of MLS STEM Goals, so that is soccer. And then we are currently kind of piloting a new program, kind of giving you a little insight, called Eco Tour. So Eco Tour is more on the entertainment side. So essentially, you have an artist that you take on tour across the country, focusing on environmental challenges, money challenges, marketing challenges, that sort of thing. So that hopefully will be rolling out to educators within the next year or so. We're kind of testing that out with a couple educators to see the functionality of it, but super excited about that one too. So just to kind of remind you of the three main pillars of our program that the video kind of touched on. So board game and the curriculum, that is what we are focusing on today, and you will be implementing into your learning environment. Program events, I talked about the Wizards Regional already, but these are a couple of photos just showing you the students have the best time. They're competitive, they open up. I like to see the difference of when they walk in the door versus when they leave. They walk in super nervous, kind of shy, and then once they leave, they've had the best time. So it's very rewarding to see them having fun while learning. And then our third pillar is that digital game. So we have the app version that can kind of just supplement the program, and they can kind of practice on their own. Essentially, it mimics the board game completely. So they can play with players. The difference with the players is all NBA and WNBA players are present, but you have to continue playing to unlock more and more. So the first time you play, you can only change 1 or 2 players. And then our board game has 64 cards. So that's the main difference between the two. And then giving you the season at a glance. Okay, so you are entering the preseason today with this training camp, and then you'll have your students sign their contracts and draft their players, which we'll go over here in a couple minutes. Once you draft your players, you can immediately move into season tip-off. Okay, where you practice in gameplay through our gameplay lessons that we're about to go over as well, all the way until finals. So we say finals start in the March timeframe-ish. That's typically when the regional tournaments start coming about, March, April timeframe. And then the global championship, which we'll talk more about towards the end of the session, that is the big event. We select 1 student per region to get an all expense paid trip to New York City. Okay, so super exciting. Definitely something to insert your students in your learning environment in when that time comes. And then next thing we're going to do is create our LFCA accounts. So if I can have you scan this QR code here on the screen. If you're on your phone, let me go ahead and grab the link for us really quickly. Let me click this and make sure this is the right one. Oh, MLS. While you're scanning that QR code, if you need the sign in, I will drop that here in just a second. But just to tell you kind of what this is for, so this is signing you in. I have a fun and very informative follow-up email that I send out after today's session, kind of giving you next steps to complete, things to remember from the training, all that information that you're going to need. So that is there for you. I'm working on getting that link to click on as well for you guys. Give me just a second. I don't want us to go any further after. Perfect. Sometimes when I type it, it doesn't work. So I wanted to make sure I got the exact. There we go. So that's where you can click to check in as well if maybe you joined in from your phone today. So you'll check in. I created a little event for today's session for the conference, Lunch and Learn. So you can click on that. That's the one for today, and it'll say thank you for checking in. So if you are a returning educator with us, it will tell you you have an account registered, so you're good to go. But I think most of us will be looking at the not having an account option. So since we didn't RSVP with me, it will ask you to select your training session, give me your name, email, phone number, city, and then how you heard about us, and then submit that. Once you complete that, so it'll look a lot like this side of the screen here. Let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. And then once you complete your registration, it will have a button to click register. Okay, then you will register for your LFCA account. LFCA stands for Learn Fresh Coaches Association. So essentially, this is your educator portal. Every curriculum piece that you need to give to your students, ready to print out, is on this account. All the tutorial videos from today is on this account. And then also, after you finish your registration, which we'll kind of walk through here in just a second, you will automatically be sent enough board games for 24 students. Okay, so completely free, automatically receiving those. Okay, so that's why this account is also important as well. Okay, so once you click that register button, the first screen is just register. So registration information, first name, last name, email, estimated number of students, phone number, all of your information. Okay, keep in mind, I did mention that is how you receive your board game. So the address that it asks for is the address that the games will automatically send to. So be sure it's a good address. I would also think about maybe sending it to your home address. I only say this because the holidays are coming up. So you don't want that package to try to be delivered to your school and it be closed. So I would probably put your home address, unless you guys stay open and somebody's there to receive your packages at the school. Okay, so once you complete that and you click submit, you'll see this screen here.
I have a
So
quick
this is,
question.
yeah, of course.
I'm from for library system, so I'm over the teen program. So I'm looking, we have 6 branches, so I'm looking to get board games for all 6 branches. So what do you recommend I put for the participating students?
So the number of students, it's
Is
not
it
a
max 24?
So no. You can put as many as you want. It doesn't have to be exact though, because the only reason why we ask for estimated number of students, and this is a great example, I had somebody ask for 100 board games, quite literally, and their estimated number of students was 10. So if you have that number and you ask for a lot of board games, I'm going to be like, oh, you're not serving that amount of students. So that's why that's important. But what I'm going to tell you is, do you run those programs at all 6 branches, or do you have somebody that kind of leads it at each?
Yeah, someone kind of leads it at each branch.
So what I'm going to suggest to you, I'm going to send you guys a follow-up email after you sign in, and I'll also share it with Crystal so she can kind of send that to you guys as well, just in case you don't get checked in. I'm going to have you have each of those educators at each site create their own account, and then they'll kind of be able to keep track of their students at their site and then be able to kind of keep them separate from site to site. So they'll
Okay.
automatically receive their games at their site once they create this.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so on the access code screen, once you get there, this is super important because I said it's free. So I do not want you paying a dime for MBA Math Hoops. There is a $250 value for the program. So if you can get MBA Math Hoops 2025 in that access code box, that gets you the program free. Okay, and I'll kind of drop that in the chat box as well. Access code MBA 2025. Okay, so you'll put that there, and then you will be able to click on the MBA Math Hoops logo. Okay, so you'll have to kind of click that and then click submit. The very last screen is just the privacy terms, letting you know we are anonymizing your students' information and data. Once you click accept for that one, you are good to go. You'll see the home screen, and once you see the home screen, you know that your board games were sent to fulfillment automatically. Okay, there is no extra steps. You don't have to complete an order form. You do not have to pay. No, nothing like that. Okay, and also if you do get more than 24 students interested in your program at your site, you can submit a support ticket, which towards the end of the session, I'll show you where that's at as well. And you can request more board games through that support ticket.
Another
Okay,
question is one board game per student, right?
so it is one board game per 4 students.
Yeah. Also, do we have this in other languages?
Spanish, that's all we have right now.
Okay. And is there a way to specify that, like a number of Spanish boards or
So what's the best way? So on your LFCA account, the sportsmanship contract is in Spanish. But we do have tutorial videos in Spanish as well that can kind of help them. But I can kind of, once I send you the follow-up email following this session, we can kind of talk more about that, you and I, if that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I'm gonna kind of move on so we can stay on time as best as possible. I can talk, I can have fun talking. So, and I appreciate the questions and the interactions from you guys already. It's amazing. So we'll kind of, if you have questions on LFCA before I move on, drop those in the chat box, or if you're having any issues, I can kind of troubleshoot as we move throughout. And that way by the end of the session, everybody's good to go. So if you did happen to join from your phone as well, be sure you at least check in, or I'll, again, at least Crystal knows who's here, so we can send that follow-up email, either her or I, with the language to create that account at a later time. I know sometimes if you join in the middle of the day, maybe you're on lunch break, you're on your phone, so you might not be able to create that account best as possible. So that information to create and the steps to create that account will be in that follow-up email. Okay, so our season schedule. So I mentioned we have lessons. So we do have a 10-lesson curriculum, but I do not want that to scare you. Okay, with the curriculum itself, it all adds value to the game and also adds gameplay components. Okay, so we'll go through each lesson and you'll kind of see what that means that I'm talking about. But if there's a heart next to the lesson, that means there's an SEL component involved. So essentially it's a worksheet that's in your LFCA account ready to print out that kind of teaches them an SEL component like teamwork or compromise or things of integrity, things like that they can kind of learn as they move throughout. And then if there's a running man next to the lesson, that means there's a physical activity component involved as well. So we are geared towards 4th through 8th grade highly. We do say 2nd to 3rd grade up to high school can be successful, but our target grades are 4th through 8th grade. And when we move throughout gameplay, I'll kind of give you some tips on to kind of move the program down a little bit to the 2nd, 3rd grade level, and then move it up to that high school level. Okay. So now we'll dive into each lesson. The first 3 lessons we'll go through really quickly. Lessons 1 through 3. When we get to lesson 4, that's gameplay. Lessons 4 through 8. Okay, so those are all gameplay components. So we'll take a little bit more time on those and then we'll wrap up for today. Okay, so the first lesson is the sportsmanship contract. And this is where I tell you all congratulations because you are now a commissioner of your own MBA Math Hoops League. And your students now get to become coaches. Okay, but before they become coaches in your league, we do want them to sign a sportsmanship contract agreeing to 3 simple things. Okay, so 1, positively encouraging my teammates and opponents. 2, working to improve my own learning every day so that others can improve around me. And 3, celebrating everyone as winners and learners. Okay. In MBA Math Hoops, we are not winners and losers. Okay. We are winners and learners. If you do happen to lose the MBA Math Hoops game in this season, you still learned, so you're still a winner. Okay. Essentially just keeping our environment super positive. We know with sports, it can get competitive, but we want to remind them of that sportsmanship and being positive, kind of helping others learn as well. Signing day for those contracts can look however you guys would like, but we like to give some ideas of what you could do to kind of make signing day a little bit more exciting. These educators printed some pictures off of Google, okay, super non-expensive. Put them on a backdrop, set up a table. This educator kind of put some player cards in a picture frame, just kind of creating it your own. You can do whatever you'd like. It can look however you'd like. We'd love to see what it looks like in your environment. Just again, creating that excitement for the students. Now, if you don't have time to do that, no worries at all. I don't want you to feel like your program is any more or less. Okay, if you have to just knock out signing day kind of quickly, that's perfectly okay as well. MBA Math Hoops will still be successful. Lesson 2 is understanding the key statistics, which give the students the foundation to read and understand the player cards. Okay, so here's a player card example here on this side of the screen. You can see it's Jokic's player card, but all of our player cards are set up in the same way. Okay, so their name will be at the top. There will be a 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage, and then graphs that reflect those percentages. Okay, but as you can see on the card, they actually are in decimal form. So we want the students to be able to understand what those are in percentage form, but also fraction form. When you get them into fraction form, they can understand how many shots that player is actually making. So Jokic's 2-point percentage is 54 over 100, about. So he's making about 54 out of every 100 attempts from the 2-point area. So that can kind of visually help them understand how many shots they're making. Same thing goes with 3-point and free throw percentages as well. Lesson 2 also has the first physical activity component where you can bring the stats to life and take your students to a basketball court. Okay, so they can make their own player cards. Okay, so you take them to that basketball court, they can shoot 10 2-point shots, 10 3-point shots, 10 free throws, calculate their percentage and create their graphs. This template is on LFCA as well. So there's 3 opportunities to do this within the curriculum. We recommend trying to do it as much as possible, simply because it allows them, again, to get their hands on those stats, understand them, relate it to their own game, but also it's a non-pressured space to just have fun with it. Some of our students might not be basketball players, essentially. We would love to have them, okay? But some of them might not be interested in basketball at all, okay? But this is where they can kind of just have fun with it, kind of relieve the pressure. They kind of can understand where they're shooting from with their player cards to help them with the game of basketball. So they can, with doing this 3 times throughout the curriculum, they can set season goals. Maybe the first time they shoot, they make no baskets whatsoever, 0, 0, 0. Maybe their goal is to make 2 2-point shots by the end of the season. Okay, so they can set those goals. They can do their season averages and also compare their stats with their classmates and friends. So again, just bringing those stats to life. Lesson 3 is the draft. So why should you draft? We let those students become coaches by signing those contracts. So now we want to honor that and let them handpick their own players and kind of create their dream team. Okay, so it does foster a sense of ownership and cooperation and provides an opportunity for teamwork. Okay, the reason why teamwork comes into play is each student will have a partner that they work with for the entirety of the game. So those two will kind of work together to draft their team, and then they'll work together throughout the game. Okay, so we do recommend a snake draft, and the snake draft is just where the draft order reverses every round. 2 things to remember is that teams draft 1 player per round, and they must select 1 player card for each color. Okay, so here you can see the different colors on the screen. So red, yellow, blue, purple, green. Okay, these represent different positions on a basketball team, point guard all the way to center. Okay, so we want each team to have 1 of each. For our snake draft example, let's say we have 10 students in our class. With those 10 students, we will put them into 5 groups of 2 and then assign their drafting order. Okay, so here you can see it's by color, but I like to say group 1 down to group 5. Okay, so that's the order that they will draft in. And then in the second round, it would just go from 5 to 1. Again, just reversing that order, creating diversity in the drafting experience. Okay, and they'll continue on for 5 rounds. Okay, so just reversing all throughout those rounds. If you do have an odd number of students, you can have a group of 3, or you can have that student kind of work by themselves. I highly recommend it being somebody that's a little bit more advanced and kind of can kind of handle that on their own. But that's completely up to you. Also, I've had questions of educators saying, I kind of have students that are a little bit shy and timid and wanting to join. Could they kind of help like keep score and kind of watch and get comfortable and then join a team? And I said, absolutely. Okay. The beauty of our program is that it's super flexible and super adaptable. Okay. So you kind of get to base it off of the students that you serve, which is the beauty in the program for sure. Okay. I can't tell you exactly how it's going to work in your class. I'm giving you all the lessons, teaching you how to play, but you kind of get to make it your own with the students that you serve. So the drafting table can look one of 2 ways. So it can either have the photo side of the card up or the stat side. And we highly recommend it being the stat side simply because we just taught them what those stats mean. Now they can easily get into the statistical analysis of comparing those player stats. If you put the photo side up, they're going to run to players that they're more familiar with. And then if you have the stat side up, they're kind of, even if they're still looking for that LeBron James, Steph Curry card, okay, which is too highly sought out players, I should say. And now Caitlin Clark is in there as well. So she's another one. Okay. But we want them looking at those graphs, comparing those stats, picking players that could get them the most wins in NBA Math Hoops. And I kind of mentioned Caitlin Clark. So we do have WNBA cards in the stack as well. And I like to say, don't sleep on those women. Okay. They have great stats, sometimes even better than some NBA players. I want to say it was the regional tournament for the Wizards, actually, but it might have been Bucks. I went and it was International Women's Day, and 2 boys drafted a all WNBA team. And guess what? They won the whole tournament. So I'm just saying they're pretty great as well. So I like to suggest each team having 1 WNBA card. Now there is a tutorial video over the draft. I'm going to skip this just for time purposes. I do like watching the tutorial videos for gameplay a little bit more. But this video, as well as all of the other ones, are all available on your LFCA account that you created. So they're also on YouTube, but the link is already available for you on LFCA. It's easy and kind of follows the lesson flow as well. So now we'll dive into gameplay. But before I start, do we have any questions over lessons 1 through 3? I didn't see any in the chat box, but I wanted to give us just a second to see if we had any. Perfect. I see a thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, so lesson 4 starts gameplay. Okay, so lessons 1 through 3, as you see, can go pretty quickly. You can definitely probably squeeze those in a quicker time frame. But once you get to gameplay, lessons 4 through 7, I like to highly recommend implementing them in increments. Okay, so implement lesson 4, let them get comfortable with this game component before you move on to the next game component, and so on. Okay, so if you throw them all of these game components at once, they are going to be super flustered, super confused everywhere, and that's kind of setting them up for more failure than it is for success. Okay, so I like to recommend kind of reading your students on how they're grasping each lesson. If they grasp it super quick, by all means, move on. But we get into, after this basic I like to say it's the foundation of gameplay with taking a shot. Once we get out of that, we're adding game components that are a little bit more fun and challenging, like a shot clock. Okay, so if you put them on the shot clock before they even are comfortable with basic gameplay, it's just going to throw them off completely. Okay, and then they'll kind of lose interest with NBA Math Hoops, essentially. Chelsea, did you have a question? Did you have a question, Chelsea, or are you good?
Somebody called my phone and I was trying to read.
Oh, okay. Okay. I saw you off of mute, so I was like, I want to make sure she's good. Perfect.
Yeah, I thought it had kicked me out, so I was trying to get back in. No, I'm good.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Perfect. Okay, so now let's dive into lesson 4. So it is the basic fundamental lesson of how you take a shot every time you go in your turn. Okay, but to start the game, so I like to say tip off for NBA Math Hoops is where each team takes 1 die and rolls them at the same time. Okay, whoever rolls the highest number will go first in the first half, and whoever rolls the lowest number will go first in the second half. Okay, it also matters if that highest number is even or odd because that determines what side of the board they will shoot on first. So if that highest number rolled was 8, that team will be on the even side of the board and the opponents will automatically be on the odd side. Okay, each game is played in 2 10-minute halves, equaling 20 minutes total. Feel free to adjust that in time frame if you would like. Okay, this is just the time frame that we play at tournaments. Looking at the player cards, okay, so we talked about the stats, but let's talk about the graphs and how they relate to gameplay. We are going to ignore free throws for now. That's lesson 6, so we'll just focus on the circle graph here. Okay, so we have Miss Asia Wilson's card. Okay, so when you're shooting in our game, you're placing a clear spinner on this circle graph and flicking it to see if you make it within the region that you're shooting from. So 2-point percentage is in the orange area, the entire orange area, and then 3-point is just the lined or the striped area, okay, on both sides. And then the gray area is misses. Okay, one thing to keep in mind is when you flick that spinner, it might land on the line. If it's on the line of the area that you're shooting from, the shot is good. But if it's anywhere off of that line, the shot is no good. And it does get super close sometimes. So you might have to kind of step in and referee that a little bit. Okay, when you take a shot, so essentially your turn in the game, you and your partner's turn, there's 4 steps. Okay, so the first step is to roll the dice, and then the second step is to complete the math based off of the 2 numbers that you rolled. Okay, so this right here is a zoomed in version of the shot planner here. Okay, so we rolled a 5 and a 3. You're always going to put the highest number in the first box and the lowest number in that second box. Okay, we don't want it to have any negative answers. Okay, so once we put the highest number here and the lowest number here, we are then going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide those 2 numbers that we rolled. Okay, this is where you can make an adaptation for those younger students or maybe students that are maybe in the 4th through 8th grade, but they're just not ready mathematically to complete decimal division. Okay, so when you divide 5 divided by 3, it does not go into each other evenly. So we do round to the nearest whole number. Okay, but like I said, if you feel like they're not ready for that, you can omit the division by all means. You can put a line through it and omit it and just complete addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Okay, even with those 3rd graders, okay, they're working on multiplication, but maybe you start out with the multiplication table next to them. That's another adaptation you can have. You know, that multiplication table to kind of aid them and then kind of work into not using that for the multiplication. So those are 2 quick adaptations that you can make for the younger students. Okay, so once you complete the operations, whichever you decide, if you want them to complete all 4, that's perfect. Okay, for tournaments, we require addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division is optional. We like to say if it goes into each other evenly, complete it. If not, just put a line through it. Okay, so once we complete our math, we're going to choose our shot and spin our spinner. So we're going to take our answers that we calculated, so 8, 2, 15, and 2, and see what shots we can take. So since we're on the even side, so you can see it says even here, and there's only even numbers, we can only use the even numbers that we calculated. So 8 and 2 we can use, 15 we cannot use because it is an odd number. Okay, so we're going to take those 2 numbers since we have 2 different choices, and we're going to find those on the game board and see what shot we want to shoot from. So 8 is here and 2 is here, and those are both 3-point shots. Okay, I know this because each spot does tell you if it's a 2 or a 3-pointer, but this line right here is the 3-point line. So anything inside of that is a 2-point shot. Anything outside of that is a 3-point shot. So now that I know that these are both 3-point shots, I'm going to go to the color card that corresponds with that color of spot. It can compare the 2 3-point statistics to see who we want to take our shot with. So 8 is purple and 2 is yellow. So I'm going to go to my purple card, which is Asia Wilson. And then I'm going to go to my yellow card, which is Jalen Green, and compare those 2 stats. Okay, so looking at those 2 stats, who do you guys think has the best chance of making our 3-point shot? Asia Wilson or Jalen Green? Who do you guys think? No wrong answers. Don't be scared. Asia, yes. Perfect. So we're looking at those 2 stats here and seeing which one is higher, because the higher the stat, the better the chance of making the shot. Okay, so remember what I said about those women. Okay, their stats are just as good. So Asia Wilson statistically has a slightly higher 3-point percentage than Jalen Green. Jalen Green would not be a wrong answer. Okay, so if they do choose to shoot with Jalen Green, that's perfectly okay as long as they understand statistically A'ja Wilson is the best choice. Once I choose to shoot with her, I will place my player token on that spot and then put my clear spinner on top of the circle graph and flick it to see if we make it within either lined or striped area on either side. Make or miss, and it would be my opponent's turn, and then they will go through these 4 steps as we just did. Okay, so we will watch this tutorial video. I like to say we lay a good foundation. Okay, so I want to make sure you guys physically see how the shot is taken. That way, hopefully, you guys understand it as best as possible.
Welcome to the NBA Math tutorial video explaining the first shot. In the previous video, Coach Nessa rolled the higher number, so she will have the ball first to take the first shot.
To start my turn, I'm going to take both dice and roll them and see what numbers I get. I rolled a 6 and 3. So I'll write 6 and 3 in the first 2 boxes of my shot planner, placing the larger number first and the smaller number second. In the next 4 boxes, there are 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I'll simply do the math across from left to right. 6 plus 3 is 9. 6 minus 3 is 3. 6 times 3 is 18. And 6 divided by 3 is 2.
Now that Coach Nessa has completed all the math, it's time for her to find a spot to take a shot. Coach Nessa is on the odd side since she rolled that higher 9 to start the game. She can only use the odd numbers from her shot planner that she just worked out. Her odd options are 9 and 3. The 9 on the court is blue and the 3 is red. And both shots are 2-point shots, which means Coach Nessa needs to look at her blue and red player card and choose the highest statistical player.
My blue card is a 2-pointer with Candace Parker, and my red card is a 2-pointer with Devin Booker. Now I'm going to go into the statistical analysis of these 2 players to decide who has the best opportunity to make this shot. Candace Parker has a 51 2-point percentage, but Devin Booker has a 54. I'm going to go with Devin Booker, who has a 54 2-point percentage.
Put the player token on the spot where you are taking the shot from and place the spinner on top of the circle graph and spin the spinner.
Made it. 2 points for Devin Booker.
Nice shot. After making the shot, put the points on the scoreboard. Now that's how you take and make a shot. Regardless if Coach Nessa would have made or missed the shot, it would be my turn next to take the shot.
Perfect. Okay. So then what is a turnover? So a turnover is a change of possession, and this occurs when the offense has no available shots and the ball will then just go to the opposing team. So here in this example, we are on the odd side and we rolled a 4 and a 2. So once we complete all of our operations, we got no odd answer choices. So that means we have no available shot. The ball will then go to the opposing team and be rolled a turnover. 2 other ways that there can be turnovers is if the number does not exist on the game board. 0 is not on the game board. And off the top of my head, 72 isn't. Okay, so that would also be a turnover if those are the only 2 options that they have. And then also if they choose to shoot a 3-point shot with a player that does not have a 3-point percentage. So sometimes with our centers, we use real life game statistics. So if they do not shoot 3-point shots in the games and from the previous season, we won't have a percentage for them. So it will say NA and there will be no lined or striped area on the circle graph. So if they choose to shoot with that player and they go to their card to spin the spinner, that would be a turnover as well. Okay, another quick game rule is a fast break. So when you roll double zeros, our dice do have 0 through 9. So when you roll double zeros, you get to choose any shot on your side of the court, place your token and spin your spinner. Any questions on lesson 4 before I get going into our more fun and challenging lessons? Perfect. Okay, I do have about 17 more minutes. So I'm going to kind of push through these so we can stay on time. And then if I do need to stay on for some questions at the end, I am completely able to do that. Okay, so lesson 5 is steals. And in a basketball game, steals occur when the defense takes the ball from the offense. In NBA math hoops, it works sort of similarly, but steals occur when the defense catches a mathematical error made by the offense. Okay, so now we are holding the offense accountable for the math that they are calculating. Okay, so the defense cannot call a steal until the offense has selected their shot and placed their token on the game board. Okay, you have to wait until they place their token on the game board simply because you are going to go and shoot from the same spot on your side of the court, so you have to know what spot they're shooting from. Okay, 2 game rules is that the offense must keep their shot planner fully visible at all times. Okay, if the defense cannot see their math, they can't be able to call a steal. And then both teams must complete the math each turn. That's why there's a home and a guest side. Just to be sure we're calling good steals, but also that extra practice with their math. So in our example, if the offense was going to take a 3-point shot from their yellow player, so let's say yellow 2 right here, and the defense calls a correct steal. Okay, so one of the offense's math was wrong. Okay, so the defense will call that steal, and if it's a good, correct steal, the defense will get to go shoot a 3-point shot from their yellow player. Okay, so there is 2 yellow 3-point shots, so it really doesn't matter which one. No problem, Rebecca. See you later. Thank you for joining. So you'll shoot from the same spot on your side of the court. You'll place your token and spin your spinner. Okay, same thing goes with 2-point shots. It would just be inside that 3-point line there. Okay, but one thing to keep in mind if the defense calls it incorrect steal. Okay, so if they call a steal and the offense's math is actually right, the offense is automatically awarded points for the shot they are shooting from without even having to spin the spinner. Okay, automatically. So we are holding the defense accountable, but we're also holding the offense accountable as well. If you need a refresher or some help on steals, this tutorial video is available on LFCA. I typically show this video, but just for time purposes, I do want to go ahead and continue on. Lesson 6 is fouls. Okay, so this is a little bit more game strategy. Okay, so steals is mathematical error. Fouls is game strategy. Okay, so why call a foul? Maybe you want to slow down the game. Maybe the offensive player has a low free throw percentage. Maybe the other team is on a groove. Okay, they're hitting shot after shot after shot. Every time they flick that spinner, they're making it. So we want to foul them to kind of throw them off. Okay, any reason that you have to foul a player is fine as long as you call the foul after the offense has selected their shot and placed their token. This time it's important to let them place their token because they might be between 2 different shot options. Maybe they're between their worst free throw shooting player, or their best. Okay, Steph Curry has a 92% free throw percentage. So if they're going between that one and maybe Zion Williamson with the, we'll say 70% free throw percentage, we want to make sure we foul Zion and not Steph Curry. Okay, so you have to wait till they place their token so you know which color card they are shooting with. Okay, so in our example, we're looking at Zion Williamson's player card. His free throw percentage, like I said, we'll round it to 70%. Okay, that's a decent free throw percentage. So when you're looking to foul players, you want to foul players that are 75% or below. Okay, the lower the percentage, the better chance they have of missing a free throw or 2. And then we like to label good free throw shooters as 80% or higher. Okay, so another visual cue that kind of can help you with percentages and seeing kind of who you want to foul is this graph here. Okay, so now we're focusing on this graph. Orange is makes and gray is misses. So if visually you see a lot of gray on that player card, you know that's a player that might miss a free throw or 2. Okay, but if you see a lot of orange and not a lot of gray, I would probably not foul them. Okay, so in our example, let's foul Zion Williamson on a 2-point shot. Maybe he's hitting shot after shot. Once, if I'm on defense and I shout out foul, okay, the offense will roll the dice 2 separate times because they're shooting a 2-point shot. Okay, essentially like free throws. Okay, so on our first roll, we got a red 3 and a blue 6. And when we go to our graph here, you can see the x-axis has red numbers and the y-axis has blue numbers. And those correspond with the color of dye and allows us to use this graph as a coordinate grid. So red 3 up to blue 6, you can see they made that first free throw. But on the second roll, red 7 and blue 4, so red 7 up to blue 4, they missed the second free throw. So they made the first one, missed the second, only getting 1 point instead of 2. So that was a good foul call. Remember, you can take as many free throws as your original shot choice was worth. A 2-point attempt is 2 foul shots and a 3-point attempt is 3 foul shots. And you can call a maximum of 5 fouls per half, which you can keep track of at the bottom of your shot. planner. Okay, again, this video is really great. I will say FOWLS is the most consistently confusing lesson for educators, so this is definitely a great video to go watch. And then our last game component that we introduce is the shot clock. Okay, so the shot clock is last because we are putting them on a 30-second timer. So we're speeding them up, so we want them super comfortable with all of those other game components before you introduce the shot clock. Okay, if you do not wish to use a shot clock, that is perfectly okay. Just keep in mind that at tournaments, we do require the use of the shot clock. I've had some educators set up a 1-minute shot clock when they first introduce it and then work into that 30 seconds, okay? Or just double flip our sand timers. Okay, so the shot clock just prevents one team from stalling to run out the game clock, and the clock starts when the dice are rolled, and it is the defense's job to flip over the sand timer. If you do not complete your entire turn in that time, that is a turnover, and we like to say end of turn is the flick of the spinner. Sometimes that time might be about to run out, but as long as you flick that spinner, even if it's still spinning when the time runs out, you still got your shot off on time, and you can see if you made or missed. And then lesson 8 is halftime. Okay, so there's 4 things to do at half other than getting a good water break and, yelling at those players for not making all their shots. Okay, so erase those shot planners to get ready to do your math in the second half. You're going to switch sides of the board. So if you were on the even side, you're now on the odd side and vice versa. The lower number at tip-off will now get to go first. And then partners must switch roles. So you see it says a tournament role, but I highly suggest doing this in your learning environment as well. One student can be writing the math out and the other student doing the shot selection, spinning the spinner, placing the token. Even though they can most definitely work together on every role there is, we do want each student to write the math out for one half, helping with that retaining of the mathematic equations. Lesson 9 is a trade deadline. So this is just the final days that teams are allowed to trade players. In NBA Math Hoops, we do say you must trade at least one player, but you set all the terms. So if you want them to trade more players, that's perfectly okay. And then you also determine who you want them to trade with. Do you want them to trade with players on other teams, or do you want them to trade with players that are not drafted? That's completely up to you. There are no rules with that. You make it your own. You have fun with it. I also like to suggest having a trade day. Maybe knock out that trade deadline just in one day and have a day where you kind of just make all your trades. Completely up to you. Just some examples of how you can implement. We do ask that the students justify their trade though, and then you can either approve or deny them. If your students did make their own player cards, by all means, they can definitely insert themselves into the game here as well. And then our final lesson is just tournament styles. So we have the single elimination tournament. So we like to recommend having a classroom tournament at the end of your season before you attend the regional tournaments. So you can either set up a single elimination tournament with a bracket. If you win, you continue moving on. If you lose, unfortunately, you're done. Or you can set up a round robin tournament, and this definitely allows students to get more games in. So they'll play every other team in your learning environment rather than just if they lose, they're done. Okay, so they'll get to continue playing whether or not they win or lose. So that's completely up to you. You can you can even lead off with the round robin tournament and then use that to seed your single elimination tournament. All just options. Again, make it your own. And that is all of the curriculum for today. So you guys did it. Big round of applause for you guys. Okay, a couple more things before I turn it over to Crystal and we finish up for the day. So I want to say congratulations and welcome. Okay, we're super excited to have you in our Learn Fresh and NBA Math Hoops community. We have social media if you would like to follow us. We post highlighted program events, student educator features, math content, and so much more on there if you would like. Next steps, which I will send in a follow-up email, and again, we'll shoot to Crystal as well so she can send it to everyone else. But please make sure that LFCA account is created. The steps are in the follow-up email, so I would like to say maybe by end of day have that created just so your game order can get sent off. Typically, those will get there in 2 to 3 weeks. We are experiencing some delays with game orders. So if you get outside of that 2 to 3 weeks window, we do apologize, but they are ordered and they will be coming soon. This is an introduction to that LFCA account real quick. So this is what your home screen will look like. Okay, on the Program Resources tab right here, you will see the drop down of curriculum and documents, tips of the week, tutorial videos, and webinars and office hours. So if you click on curriculum and documents, you'll see everything is available there. You can see the Spanish version of that sportsmanship contract. If you're looking for the English version, it is a part of lesson 1, so you'll find that there. So all that is there for you. And then the support tab here, you'll click on that and click submit a ticket, and that goes directly to myself. So if you have questions, concerns, issues, if you need some more boards and or player cards, you can ask for those there. Tournaments and championships. So I did mention we do have a Wizards regional tournament. So that the date is not exactly set yet, but Coach Bree from our, she's the manager of events. She will reach out closer to then and kind of give you details, how many students you can bring, when, where, etc. Regional tournaments do not have any qualifications. We just suggest picking a couple of your star students to kind of bring out. And Coach Bree will send all the details. Sometimes you can bring more students, and then sometimes it's a little bit less. So she'll reach out with that. And then the global championships. So students do have to qualify for this, and to qualify, they must play at least 25 games and complete 10 lessons by March 14th. Okay, do we ask for proof of this? No. We just ask you as the educator on the application, hey, did they play 25 games? We are, again, sending them to New York City completely free with one parent or guardian. So we want to send students that are super comfortable and confident with the game. So that's the reason why we ask that. And then the application also has a student video kind of telling us why we should pick them. A quick introduction to our program staff. So Coach Rebecca is our Chief Program Officer. Coach Stephen is the Manager of Program Outreach and Recruitment, and he has Coach Angie, Coach Jonathan. Coach Hunter was at the conference last week, and then Coach Stephen. They are all a part of Coach Stephen's team. Coach Bree is that Manager of Program Events, and then I am in charge of Program Training and Support. Okay, here are the QR codes for the mobile app. I do send the link for the web browser version in the follow-up email as well. If you want to download the app at a later time on your phone, just search NBA Math Hoops and it'll pop up. We do have a partnership with AT&T and NBA Cares to publish 30 STEM and basketball video lessons on the Achievery. So this is a free account that you can use to supplement NBA Math Hoops. The link is in the follow-up email. It's also on your LFCA account as well. So this is free content that you can use. Maybe you need to teach them a little bit more about basketball. There's basketball lessons. Maybe there's you're looking for some more STEM components. There's videos and lessons over that as well. So please utilize that. It's free to you, and we're excited about that partnership. And then a big thanks and shout out to our partners. So because of our partnership with NBA Cares, we do have a royalty-free license with the NBA, allowing us to use their current player photos, stats, and their logo. And then Getty Images provides us with their photos for use. So super thankful for them always. And then if you know of any other educators that would be interested, we do have some more trainings coming up in January. Maybe you take this back to your school and they fall in love with it. Okay, so we have some trainings in January. And then if there's more conferences, of course, Crystal helped us with this one. But if there's more, we would love to be a part of it. So just reach out. And that is all I have for you guys today. So this is a QR code for a training camp survey. The link is in the follow-up email. I say that redundantly, but everything is there. Just letting you know or asking how you guys felt after today's training. So feel free to fill that out if you would like. If not, it's perfectly okay as well. So I just want to thank you for participating with me today. I know it was a lot of information, but I do my best to kind of make sure I give real life examples so you guys feel super comfortable and confident. If you have questions, feel free to stay on. If not, I'll kind of turn it over to Crystal so she can kind of wrap it up and then we'll be good to go.
All right, thank you so much, Lauren. That was some really great information. This seems like such a fantastic program that really will engage, students in math. And thank you all, everyone, for joining us today. I'm so glad that you took some time out to learn about this program. And like Lauren said, we'll be doing some follow-up emails. We will be sending out the recording of this video in case there were any pieces that you wanted to re-watch or anything like that. And yeah, so we'll be in touch. Thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day and rest of your week.